unfortunately, I travel so much that there's this period of time originally, 7 a.m. to 8 a.m., that nobody likes to do anything when I'm traveling. Like either it was personal or professional. No one's gonna meet you then. So I always like to use my time. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna put it out to the community. Hey, meet me at the Marriott. I'll buy you breakfast. And I would pray for 1 or 2 people to come. And somehow, 1 or 2 people always came. Sometimes only 1. And the amount of value that I was able to help someone with, like understand what they needed, introductions in the city, even if it was people I was already meeting, it was incredible. Then 2, 4, 8, 16, aggregate compounding like we are today, that you even get 20 people in a pouring storm to come out, miles to come. But what I didn't realize beyond helping others was what it did for me. And you know, I get emotional about it because too, it really, I think, taught me value add. Like we talk about the zero-sum game, the more you give, the more you receive. It was understanding, gosh, if I love to help people this much, that I should be asking for help more to make someone else feel like I feel. And then 2, the other side was what people are listening for. I will tell you, there's probably no one in this world in the last 2 weeks that has had the opportunity to learn what people are listening for more than me. More virtual interviews, coaching, group coaching, meetups in, you know, every single city from, you know, Scotland, Mayfair, Israel, Dubai, Indy, Kentucky, New York, Philly, Chicago, home, and now Toronto. That's just 2 weeks. So I have a real guide on weird things that you may not learn that I have seen. Like for example, for some reason, people around the world, interest rates somehow are a catalyst for your perspective on the economy. Like people in all types of contexts will be like, well, you know, with interest rates rising, it's kind of like the old eggs, gas, and whatever the GMP was based off of. For some reason, the governments all knew that, hey, we got to keep gas prices low because the minute they go up, everyone thinks the economy's going to shit. Or eggs, right? Real critical. Well, interest rates, for some reason, I've learned through the last 2 weeks, are, you know, parallel to all types of industries. People take on a negative perspective instead of thinking, okay, let me look historically how I can study how I make money when interest rates go up. Right? Remember, every scenario that goes on, when egg prices go up, somebody makes more money. Not everybody loses. So I'm a big proponent of like, okay, this is what's going on. How can I help people make more money, help more people, and have more fun? Because you can't give more with less. So the idea of this is 0 to 1 is harder than 1 to 100. A lot of you may or may not have questions, but I just need one. Once somebody asks the questions, it's like drinking a lot of beer. The minute you take your first pee, it all just flows. Same thing with the first question. I know who drinks beer now. They got big smiles on their face. Wait, you're an insider. Let's let the outsiders try. Anyone from the outside have a question?
Who's considered outside? Myself
Yeah,
considered outside?
yeah.
Okay.
That doesn't get paid by me.
So in terms of, say, a coaching practice, is it good to be as specific as possible and narrow it down to like a needlehead as to who you're helping and market specifically to those people? Or is it better to be a little bit more broad and put yourself out there and see who you attract with your frequency and then understand how to help them at that point?
Great question. My strategy is both, meaning that I am as broad as possible to build a community of anything I can do for free. Right? I want to be as broad as possible. You need help tying your shoelaces, I'm your guy, right? For free. But as we get to group and then to one-on-one or business advisory, now I get very specific. If I'm going to charge, then I have to be very specific that I can create and articulate a quantitative value to exceed what I'm asking for. But I have found that this has been an amazing process of coaching that a lot of people don't do. Look, if I ever wanted just to make money, there's 2 things. If you want to coach about, you'll never run out of customers. One is worthiness coaching. Just start coaching, say, I'll make you feel worthy. It applies to everybody. Or 2, mommy issues. There, you got everybody. Very specific type of training, but it applies to everyone. So if you want to make money coaching, then coach in worthiness issues or mommy issues. Everybody will be your customer. and you have great value if you can be an expert at it. Great question. All right, next question.
Me.
Yes.
So first of all, thank you so much for contributing to the book.
Thank you so much for having me contribute.
I'm still waiting for the forward. However, in saying that, I know you from a different space. I know you from masterclass space.
Yes.
As well.
Who I'm having dinner with tonight,
Oh,
right after this.
awesome.
Yeah.
Nice. But definitely, I know you're you have a lot of strategic goals in place, and I know you do things not just because, and you've been through a lot. So tell us some of the rituals and goals that you have in place, and how do you work with that?
Sure. What are the rituals and goals that I have in place with so much going on in my life? One of the greatest changes in my life was when I understood time, and especially related to goals. And there's this reconciliation that people have a difficult time understanding. People like Michael E. Singer wrote Surrender Experiment. There's a lot of ideas about detachment. And what I've learned about goals is that we have to understand time in order to effectuate what we think we want. So the first thing I started dealing with is past, right? I was saying I study the past because human nature never changes, and if we study history, we can get a guide on human nature. But the other reason I look at past is the meaning that we give it and other people give it. And so for me, before I set my objectives, intentions, I want to know what meaning am I giving to my past according to what I'm going to do today in the trajectory of what I think I want in the future. But I limit all of my activity to today. I have no activity in the past other than the meaning I give it. The meaning I give the past is what would limit me from getting what I want or thinking what I want. And I see people do that on. What happens in the past that limits us? Failures. So for example, I lost over $100 million, went bankrupt. A lot of people that did the same thing that I did haven't recovered. It's been 15 years. They haven't recovered. And the meaning I gave that was aligned with where I wanted to be, not with a punishment, a mistake, a setback, a failure, an interference, a limitation. It was a promotion to me and a protection of me. Now, one of the nuances of the understanding of the past, defining moments, historical relevances, mistakes, failures, setbacks, successes, is that you cannot change other people's meaning of your past. And this is a challenge that recently I've really heightened my awareness to help me, because I thought because I gave a meaning to my past in a trajectory of where I want to be or who I am today, that my siblings would have given the same meaning to it. But unfortunately they don't, because if I say something today, the meaning that they're giving it is still, with one of my siblings, probably the guy who sat up on their chest and, spit down and, until all the dumb shit that I did. So I can't change their meanings. So in setting my objectives, everything is a daily objective in a trajectory of what I think I want. Therefore, life circumstances will have no impact on what I'm doing, what I'm saying, what I'm thinking, believing, or feeling. Because the future I'll deal with tomorrow when I set forth these 5 things. And I'd love to send these to everyone because it changed my life. 1, I wake up after I meditate and I say to myself, okay, taking the knowledge that I gained from the access that I received during my sleep, what is it I want today? What are my goals today? In a trajectory of what I think I want in the future. Personally, what do I want today in that experientially, giving-wise and receiving-wise, and they're not balanced. And they only are specific to today according to the life circumstances of today. COVID, no COVID. $100 million in the bank account, $0 million in the bank account. I set forth according to today in a trajectory of where I think I want to be in the future, and I give meaning, the light, the love, and the lessons is the meaning of my past to help me get to where I want to be, not to hinder it. And I don't limit my self-image either, because I'll never overachieve my own self-image. So once I know what I want, now I'm very specific. Who can I help with what I want, and who can help me? And I literally think about it. Okay, who's going to help me personally do this? Who can I help experientially with this? Who giving and receiving? Then I become a student of my calendar. I say, okay, I know my what and I know my who. Now, how am I going to utilize my time with the activities I have planned in the trajectory, not planned? So I know where. The only reason you study the activity you don't have planned, meaning the empty space in your calendar, is so that when life happens to you during the day, you know where to, one, prioritize and move the things into, which is a part of the problem people have in adjusting and adapting their day. So you get a flat tire, everybody goes into this panic. Not me. I go into my unplanned time, I take what I'm doing right now, saying this is an important thing to do is fix my tire. I'm moving this appointment to this empty space and reprioritizing. So planned, unplanned, and sleep, paid for and unpaid for. And then I'm maximizing with lenses of productivity, how much value am I going to provide today in that trajectory? Accessibility, how accessible am I to others? And how am I accessing what I want? What am I receiving? Because I can't give more with less. And then gratitude. Once again, reconciling my meaning of the past with light, love, and lessons to help promote and protect me to the future, not punish me or limit my self-imagery. Then, as I study that time with a bunch of other pragmatic rules, which, 520 rule, 100, there's a variety of nice little tricks, but at the highest level, now comes the most interesting one. Because I spent years suffering with the understanding of now, of being present. Master Shah would be like, Dave, you've got to be present. I'm like, I'm not really getting this, but okay. The way that I describe it is daily practice 4. I believe you got to know your now and know your next. Then you're present. So in order to know what to do now and know what to do next, you have to know what's important to you. Not what's important to other people, not what's missing, not what you don't have, where most people use their attention and intention, but instead in an abundant philosophy of more than enough of everything, all I'm concerned about is what I want to do now according to the what, the who, and the how. What's important to me, personally, experientially, giving, receiving wise, who, and how am I best going to get it done is how I determine my prioritization. What I learned about now is if you know how to prioritize what's important to you, 100% of the things you do now get done, you get more done now, and you know what to do next. You're more efficient, effective, and statistically successful. Prioritization will cure the 2 biggest problems that we have in our country, America, at least that I'm familiar with, which is procrastination and feeling overwhelmed. It is impossible to procrastinate if you know what to do now. It is impossible to feel overwhelmed if you know what to do now and know what to do next. And it's just a matter of prioritization. Now comes the kicker, which is number 5 in the trajectory of intention of what I think I want in the future, giving meaning to my past. It's a difference of knowing your why, which I used to say, now I say applying my why. So there's a fundamental principle that I believe only in the respect that I believe in the best option. So taking myself out of any truth, any judgment. Judgments are nothing but opinions based on what? Ignorance and fear, ignorance and doubt. So I got myself out of the judgment of prove to me there's God, Jesus, Muhammad, Joseph Smith, Buddha. I don't care what you believe. I think, for me, that all of this only works if you believe that there's something bigger than you that knows everything, omniscient, all-powerful source, call it what you want, I don't give a shit, that loves you more than your mom. So to that measure, why do I believe that? Well, because I have been around the world, like I said, and I tell people all the time, I'm a best options person. People ask me, why do you believe in past lives and future lives? Well, give me an option. You want one life or millions of lives? This is tough. I'll take millions of lives. Can you prove it? No, I don't really. Can you? So if anyone can give me a better option to something to believe in as a cornerstone to applying your why to your life to be inspired, then there's an omniscient, all-powerful, all-knowing source that loves you more than your mom, a unified, abundant, infinite system of thought that you're a part of. Tell me, I'll believe in it instantly if you can tell me it's better, because I'm a best options guy. So for me, I take this best option and then I say to myself, okay, my objective in the trajectory of what I think I want, these goals, is simply, I'm going to apply my why. So instead of trying to get more in a zero-sum game, more healthy, more wealthy, more worthy, more happy, I am. How am I am? I am because I'm part and parcel of a system that's unified, abundant, infinite, in thought, that is omniscient, all-powerful, and all-knowing. Bob Proctor, who's from here, who's one of my biggest mentors ever, he literally said to me, David, you have more power in just your pinky that would light up all of Toronto. What are you doing to interfere with it? That became the premise. Instead of my pinky, Bob, I'm connected to and through an omniscient, all-powerful, infinite, abundant source of energy. What am I doing to interfere with that? Forget my pinky. And so I then started a process of I am happy, I am healthy, I am wealthy, I am worthy. What am I doing to interfere with it according to my what, my who, my how, in accordance to what's important to me, prioritizing my now and my next. Therefore, I am fighting the number one counterintuitive problem that we have as human beings, is that we don't understand energy and behaviors and energy, how energy works. It aggregates, it compounds exponentially in results, and it accelerates. So when we have good behavior, we expect to be aware of it immediately. Well, the good behavior has an instant result. It's called good progress. Unfortunately, the human capability is not one which can be aware of good progress instantly, right? We eat one meal correctly, we're not instantly aware of the effect or impact that it's had on our body. But it has made good progress. You feel me? So that's number one counterintuitive problem, because when we have good behavior, most people will quit because they don't see the progress that they expect. And they over-exaggerate the progress and the speed of the progress, therefore creating resistance, disappointment, void, shortages, and obstacles, forcing them to quit their good behavior and their good progress. Now, the antithesis is also true. Bad behavior. We smoke one cigarette, we don't see the bad progress. The only difference is when we smoke a cigarette, we don't expect instant results or we don't even expect it to aggregate or compound exponentially or accelerate. So, 60 years old, I've been smoking for 40 years, not a problem. 61, you're dead. Because you went from 50% lung capacity, the next double takes you to 100%, or an artery. 50% blockage, the next flip, right? Because remember, everything grows exponentially, 2 to 4 to 8 to 16. And here's the opposite, right? We're 50% of the way from our business being where we want it to be, and we quit when you're only one more period from it being 100% of the way there. This is not within the guise of human nature awareness to understand how energy aggregates, compounds exponentially, and accelerates. And so part of the daily practices is to understand energy aggregates, compounds exponentially, its outcomes, and accelerates, because therefore you now have something mathematically that you can construct in your mind, even though you can't be aware of the progress. You know that your behavior and your money is energy. You know that physics will prove to you that energy aggregates, compounds exponentially, and accelerates. So don't quit good behavior, quit bad behavior. The 5 daily practices allow you to give meaning aligned with the trajectory you want in the future. Open-minded, remember I call it what you want or better. So that's where the ignorant, the best story I tell about this, and it's so true, because faith is appreciation of the future. I don't put it in religious contracts. I appreciate anyone that does. That's super cool, spiritual, theoretical. I don't care, philosophical. But for me, faith is just gratitude of the future. I'm grateful for this amazing future of mine, or better, because I'm limiting myself at all times. So within the context of understanding faith and what we're doing today in a trajectory, we have to understand that we don't know what we don't know. 2 types of people, ignorant people and ignorant people. Ignorant people don't know what they don't know. Ignorant people are the second people they don't know. The difference is become ignorantly humble. So an ignorant, humble person, when I was 3 years old, I was ignorant and humble. I reached out, I saw a fire at the beach, and it looked really warm, seducing me, and I went to put my hand in it. My mom, who never hit anyone, never yelled, which is why my wife says I am the way I am, my mom slapped the crap out of my hand immediately, as you would, and she screamed at the top of her lungs, "No!" I'd never been yelled at or hit, so I started to cry. I looked at my mom and I said, "Why are you punishing me?" Crying at 3. "What did I do? Why are you punishing me, Mom?" And rubbing my hand, hugging me. No, I'm not punishing you. You just don't know this fire is gonna hurt you really bad. It's gonna burn you. It could even kill you. I'm protecting you. I'm promoting you to a better place, a better position. You just don't know what the fire is going to do to you. So in the context of my best option, something bigger than me that knows everything, all powerful, loves me more than my mom. So when I go to do a business deal and it doesn't go through, and I used to, with ignorant arrogance, go, oh, I screwed up, I'm a loser, why am I being punished, these never work out, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, the infinite all-knowing has just stopped me from burning myself. I just don't know it. And so within that faith, appreciation of the future allows you to not get what you want and realize you just got something better. And that's how your life changes immediately. To be able to have that much faith as a best option changed my entire existence. No longer did I waste interfering with my success, fulfillment, abundance. And so when I lost everything, I was protected and promoted. Now, here I am 15 years later and will tell you that I'm so blessed that it saved my life, definitely saved my marriage, that I didn't see what this omniscient, all-powerful, all-knowing source that loves me more than my mom saw. Because I thought I knew what I knew. One other thing about ignorant humility and ignorant arrogance, and I'll say that as a parent, and I didn't learn this fully until I was a parent. When I started getting on to the social media, people are worried about the ignorant, arrogant people that say dumb things, right? Oh, you stole gratitude from Gary Vee. Look, I'm older than Gary Vee, and I promise you my grandma taught me gratitude and my mom, so it'd be impossible for Gary to teach me it or for me to steal it because I was here first. That's mathematics, right? Or someone that may comment on, oh yeah, you talk about minimum of 1 hour a day on your health, why do you look so fat? That's ignorant and arrogance. Hurt people. But the ignorant, arrogant people that I became quite aware of, even to myself, is the people who love us the most. These are the sneaky ones that really impact our life. So I'm more afraid for my children than I am for myself. So because of that fear, I give them advice that has no basis of knowledge at all. And you have to do it when they're little, right? For survival, you gotta make a choice to say don't and do this, look both ways, right? Even though maybe looking both ways isn't gonna help them. But you have to do that. But when you got a 24-year-old daughter that's asking you what you should do in a relationship, in school or business, don't lie to yourself, and especially don't lie to them, because you do not want to have a fear-based decision. And you are so afraid for them, you're always going to give them advice based off of not letting them get hurt. That's the ignorant arrogance that I've realized in my life. So when people give me ignorant arrogance out of love, I say thank you. I see where you're coming from. Like a handful of sand, nice piece of advice out of love, I'll let it fall through my fingers. But you don't know. My mom knows nothing about business. She loves to tell me business advice because she doesn't want me. And ironically, what happened in my life? She's giving me business advice and I end up losing everything anyway. Her worst fear and even worse mine. Now I have no fear at all. So I'm being protected and promoted. I'm doing my best, learning lessons, having fun every day. All right, next question.
How do you step aside from that part? Like you say you're having fun every day, but there's times when life takes hold.
Get kicked in the face.
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
And then you got to switch that over.
Yeah. So time is the dependent variable of my life. Time is the dependent variable of all matter in my life, subjective matter and objective matter. So people ask me, do you get mad? Do you get scared? Do you get anxious or worried? Do you get frustrated? Do you get offended? Do you feel inferior or superior, separate from, lonely? All of them, every day. But in the context of what am I doing to interfere with it, what I use as time is the dependent variable that I try to spend minutes and moments when I'm mad. I recognize if I'm mad, if I have any fear in my life, an emotion that's interfering with my peace or ease, which is interfering with my connection to the source, then I say to myself, is this a fear of the past, usually resulting in guilt or resentment, Or is it a fear of the future, anxiety, or worry? Base fear. And so then I say to myself, okay, this is a fear from the past. I'm afraid I'm going to lose everything because I lost everything before, and therefore I'm projecting my insecurity or fear of the past by prescribing what God has given me to protect myself, called ego. So I prescribe to the fear an ego-based emotion, a need. I need to be right now. I need to be offended. I need to be separate, inferior, superior, anxious, frustrated, angry, guilty, resentful. This is a need. And so instead of trying to out-logic the ego, or out-reason the ego, or out-intellect the ego, or out-intuition the ego, I stop. No resistance to the ego. But I do stop and I breathe. I remind and remember and recollect to source. I remind. What do you think that word means? Remind. There must be all-knowing. I'm reminding too. Recollect. There must be an infinite collection if I'm recollecting to the oneness. Remembrance. There must be one that I'm remembering to unify with. So when I'm pissed off, right? Remember, I have 3 daughters, 24, 21, and 19. That's a guarantee that every day I'm going to get kicked in the face. Guaranteed. But I don't spend days, weeks, months, and years ruining my relationship with 3 of the most important people in my life who I want to share my love with, not my anxiety and fear. So therefore, instead of trying to use my intellect and intuition, I use my inspiration. And in order to be in spirit and use my inspiration, I have to first stop and remind, remember, and recollect to the inspiration. No logic, no intellect, no reason, no intuition, just simply breathing, getting back to center, to ease. Then what do? I'm pragmatic. Once I'm at ease, I just say to myself, okay, you got kicked in the face, but what is it that you want? Do you want to prove you're right? Or do you want this personally, experientially giving and receiving? Do you want to be worried all day, or do you want to move in the trajectory towards what you do want? Who can help you? Who can I help? How best can I get it done? So the philosophy is time is a dependent variable. I'm just spending minutes and moments. And I'm actually very cognitive and conscious of time, saying, you know, I got pissed off at this kid today, right there, he's not listening, but he'll listen to the video. I got super pissed at him, right? And I found myself screaming at him because I love him like a son, right? And he wasn't listening like a son. He's not my son, but he could be, right? And I got pissed off. And he kept coming at me. Well, I'm like, it took me maybe 35, 40 seconds. I said, stop. I'm not in a position to talk to you. Yeah, but I want, right now I pissed him off. And I'm like, no, just go. Let me, then he says, because he knows me, will you talk to me later about this? Absolutely, but not right now. Because right now, I'm pissed off. I'm exerting an ego-based consciousness with a need to be right, a need to be offended, a need to be separate, a need to be inferior, just to name a few of the needs of the ego that I had in place. And that's not going to get me to where I want to be and who I can help and who can help me, which is him, right? He's who I want to help and he can help me. And what I was doing was not going to put me in that position. So he left, and I spent minutes and moments getting back to ease, putting myself in the position of what I wanted, right, for him and me, and had a very calm, the resolve took less time than me yelling at him once I was at ease, and he was at ease. Minutes and moments is the way to live your life, and also the realization, like you said, you're gonna get kicked in the face the same amount of times as everybody else in the world. It's how much time are you gonna spend interfering with your potential? And I think it's really important to know that no matter how happy someone looks on Instagram, they get kicked in the face 8 times. And no matter how sad someone looks on the internet, they get kicked in the face 8 times. The only difference between the person who looks super happy, if it's real, and the person who looks super unhappy, if it's real, is the amount of time they spend in unhappiness. This person, minutes and moments. This person, days, weeks, months, years, and lifetimes. And there are some people that spend lifetimes. Perfect. Question?
How do I change that? Because it is aligned with what I do. I love it.
Yeah. So, number one, I believe we learn to love what we do.
Yeah.
And so 2 things I do if I don't feel inspired with the things that I love to do. Has anybody ever played like a sport too much? Right? Yeah. Or like some of you, if you're football fans, like by the AFC Championship, sometimes you feel like I've just watched way too much football. Like all you were just waiting for the season now. by the AFC Championship, especially if your team's not in it. Yep. Okay. So what I do is when I'm not at my potential of inspiration is one, I dedicate more time to something else. Right? I just dedicate more time to something else. So I believe 2 minutes a day is worth more than 2 hours on a Saturday. I believe in consistent behavior, adheres to the physics of energy, of aggregation, compounding, of exponential outcomes in acceleration. So I will lower the amount of time I spend in the mortgage business for a day. Because remember, I'm only a daily guy. So if I wake up and go like, for some reason, this is not rocking me. But I'm a huge advantage over people when it comes to content because I love doing meetups, I love doing IG lives, I love doing office hours, I love doing my group coaching, I love doing one-on-one coaching. I love it more than golf, right? I literally, by far. But if I wake up going, I really don't feel like doing an IG, then I'm gonna make sure that I put more time into something else. And secondly, because I still have to do the IG every day, yes. I force myself to the first 5 minutes suck rule to tell myself, okay, the first 5 minutes are gonna suck of the IG today, but my goal is to find the light, the love, and the lessons. And I even have gone as far as saying after 5 minutes, I'm not gonna do it if it still sucks. I'm just gonna hit it and say, internet broke. And I do this with working out too, especially on run days. Yeah. Like if you wake up when I do, 4 o'clock, and you have to be on the road at 4:30 to run 3.5 miles in 40-degree weather some places, right? I have woken up and go like, no effing way. And then I'll tell myself, nope, first 5 minutes suck. If after 5 minutes, I'm gonna turn around and come back home. And I've never turned around and come back home, and I've never finished a workout or stopped at IG or anything else. Never once stopped. And secondarily, I've never finished and said to myself, oh shit, I wish I didn't do that. When I took the perspective of first 5 minutes suck, and I want to find the light, love, and lessons in this. And then once again, behaviors are energy. They aggregate, compound exponentially, and accelerate. So less and less of the time I ever feel that way. And then I have to worry about the other side where I'm spending too much time doing the mortgage stuff or working out, where you need a day off. Yeah. And when I say a day off, that means minimum amount of time. I am not a zero-sum guy. I think too many people zero themselves out and cheat themselves because they don't get that energy aggregates, compounds exponentially, accelerates, and 2 minutes a day is worth more than 2 hours on a Saturday. So I will drop down from 16 hours to 16 minutes to 1 minute and 6 seconds if I have to, but I'm going to do certain things every day. I'm not going to stop the conscious continuing to work in my favor. I'm not going to work against energy. And a lot of times when I get into the 2 minute phase of something, I end up doing 20 minutes, right, and enjoying it. And the human perspective is so interesting. And if we learn the tricks of the human psyche and the human perspective, we can really aggregate, accelerate, and compound our interests. Thank you. That's a great one. That goes for anything, not just mortgage. All right, next question. Yes, sir.
How do you get into a flow state as you're speaking?
Great question. So this is really interesting. Practice, first of all. If you say how to, my answer will always say practice to start. But what do we practice would be helpful as well. So the flow state is the state of being at ease. And so the practice of figuring out what I'm doing to interfere. So if, for example, in the flow state when I'm speaking, I want to speak at ease. I don't want to have my insecurities, my fly undone, that'll screw up the flow, or did I offend someone by what I said, or, gosh, I'm not letting somebody talk. Like, these thoughts are interfering thoughts, they're insecure thoughts. So one of the keys to being on the flow on a stage or in a meetup or in a meeting is to be at ease. So if something comes through my mind while I'm speaking to all of you, I cancel it. That is an interfering thought. I just cancel it. And here's the problem with flow. And I never understood this because I speak a lot and I'm blessed. Please, have me speak more. I love it. But it was interesting. The only thing that made me nervous and uncomfortable on a stage was not having a clock. Like way outside of bounds, super uncomfortable if I don't have a clock. And then I realized why. Because I channel when I'm on a stage. There's no time when you channel. When you're in the flow, there's no time at all. So what would happen is if I didn't have a clock, even though I knew I had 50 minutes to speak, even though I had given time to schedule the lessons and stories I wanted to tell, so I had some guide that I wasn't gonna go too far over, when you get into the flow state, there's no time. So I would come out of the flow state from telling a story, channeling, emotionally connecting to everyone. You guys, clear sentience, can feel me. And then I'd come out of it and I'd be completely, basically naked on a stage going, holy shit, has that been 5 minutes or 50 minutes? Like, how much time do I have left? And then I literally, it would just screw up every speech I ever did. And there needs to be a clock on the stage because when I come out of flow, I need to have the security of a clock to quickly do the math and go, you're okay. There's 15 minutes. I know you thought there was 5. There's 15 minutes. And so now adjust the lessons and stories so they can come to the conclusion of, and if you empower others to be happy, to empower others to be happy, that'll make me happy. Thank you very much, right? That's flow state. Identifying while you're speaking what's interfering with the flow. Next question. Anyone? All these, yes, sir. All right, after.
Do you know Waleed Halti?
Who?
Do you know Waleed Halti?
Very well.
Okay.
Yeah, I mentored him when he was young. Yeah, he's in the solar business. Is that the Waleed Halti?
Yeah, well, let's connect after.
Yeah, I would love to. Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
Mighty Mel.
I'm going to your master dinner, so my question will be more specific there, but this one's more general. Of like, I have a business, an idea for my business, and on paper it looks stupid, but that whisper in my heart says, that's what you have to do.
I love
and
that.
I keep asking help, and they don't want to help, or they make it harder. And then I think, oh, must flow be wrong, not what I should do. And then I get that whisper again, and I was like, no, that's what you're doing, keep going. So with that flow and the, like, how do you know, like, is that enough question?
Yeah. So what happens is we get callings. Intuitive, so there's 3 ways we receive information. One is intelligence, one is intuition, and one is inspiration. They're different. And as an aggregate, that's how we accumulate information for our lives, through intelligence, intuition, and inspiration. Sometimes we get a calling. I was walking on the beach after faced with one of my daughter's friends committing suicide at the age of 12, and it was just running through me because I'd put my life back on track. I had woken up for a year going, I'm so blessed. Like, to be where I'm at, what can I do? What is this calling? And I'm walking the beach, and literally I know that feeling. And it says, you're supposed to help people make a lot of money, help a lot of people, and have a lot of fun. In other words, be happy so that 12-year-olds don't kill themselves. That people, right, can find the light, the love, and the lessons and everything. So I'm walking the beach, and I was like, oh, that's stupid. Like, I can't tell anyone that. Like, I'm not Jesus Christ or anybody. Like, I'm just walking the beach, 5 in the morning in San Diego going, and then it comes back again, and I get completely overwhelmed, right? And I'm crying for no reason. I'm like, oh, shit. Like, this is what I'm here for. I still get emotional. I'm here for this. And I'm walking more. And so I get back into the house, and I'm thinking to myself, how am I going to tell my wife, right? And we're in our new beach house after losing everything. We went from like 33 homes to a rented house, rented furniture, and 1 car. This woman stuck with me, saved my life to stick with me, right? There's 2 periods, right? One was stick with me to save my life because I was doing dumb shit. Then it was stick with me after I lost everything because I had the results of the dumb shit. The behavior aggregated, compounded exponentially, and accelerated. And so now I've lived by my values, daily practices, and executed on it. And I'm better than I've ever been. And now the husband that has now, gone on this journey is going to come home and say, hey, I know things are going well, but I have a new mission. I want to empower over 1 billion people to be happy. That's my mission. I didn't think I could say it. And so the first step is what you did right now is, hey, I have this mission. So my mission, though, is based off of one thing: finding 1,000 people to help me, to help others. So we'll talk more in detail of how to do it, but I live my life like this. Somebody told me, and I didn't understand when I was young, hey, every time you get a seat at the table, pull up another seat and invite someone to sit down. This is how I live my life every day. No matter what level of life I'm at, there's someone here sitting in a situation, they're at a plateau that I want to be at, and I'm reaching out going, brother, give me a hand. And never once has this person said, I can't do it. Never once when I reached up and said, hey man, I want to be where you are. Sadhguru, Deepak Chopra, I want to be where you are. Sadhguru, you want to empower the entire world to be happy. I want to empower over 1 billion people. And his answer, let me help you. I need some help anyway. Take 1 billion off of my hands. That's what he said to me. But then again, I have this hand. Hey, I pulled the seat up for you. You can do it. Right there, the idea itself is inspiration. Now, to say I'm going to empower over 1 billion people to be happy as a mission, it then took a construct of what was real. So what became real to me is, okay, let's put pragmatic human construct behind it. How can I do this? I know, first of all, decide what that means, like how you make people happy. I know people who make a lot of money, live in abundance, help a lot of people and have fun, are happy. So that's what I'm going to do. That's what I know how to teach. Those are 3 things that I know how to do. I've been doing it since I'm 24, 31 years. I've been making a lot of money, helping a lot of people, and having a lot of fun. Sometimes better than others at some of it, but always. So now I said, okay, how do I get to 1 billion? And then I said, oh, I know, this is how you get to 1 billion. Ask for help from the guys up here, the Sadhgurus, the Deepak Chopras, the Bob Proctors, the John Asseroffs, the Jack Canfields. Say, hey, you guys are really good at empowering people. I'm good at making money, helping people, and having fun. Can you help me empower people? Not just teach one, but teach them to teach them. Because if you guys can teach me how to do that, then I can find 1,000 people down here and teach them what you knew to empower 1,000 to empower 1,000. I combined your ability to empower others, like the Tony Robbins, Bob Proctors, Jack Canfields, Sadhgurus, Deepak Chopras, my mentors. They're good at empowering others to empower others. That's why they have like the Chopra Center and all. I don't know anything about that, but I know now. So I said, okay, I'm going to find these guys to help me empower 1,000 to empower 1,000 to empower 1,000 to teach values, daily practices, and execution models in order to facilitate making money, helping people, and having fun. And by the time my journey's over, I'll have a collective consciousness of over 1 billion people, and 1 particle of light will overcome 1 million particles of darkness. I can change the world. That I say with confidence. But when I started Mighty Mel, I was like you. I couldn't get it out without crying. I didn't know what to do. And people laughed at me, scoffed at me, made fun of me, right? Now they applaud you, but that's what they'll do to you. But it wasn't just the idea, because the idea needs clarification into the man-made construct. We have to put time, quantities, space, reality to it. So if your calling is this, it doesn't look like your calling, right? I can't remember exactly what the calling was about making the world happy, but it wasn't empower 1,000 people to empower 1,000 people to empower 1,000 people to make money, help people, and have fun. That was a long journey to get to that clarity. But it was initially, like, that's why it resonated with me. Like, I know how you feel, so let's put the 1,000 to the 1,000 to 1,000 together. Let me be one of these people up here, and let me introduce you to more of these people so you can help these people down here. Does that sound fair? Cool. That's great. Awesome. Okay, next question. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, what if you have a larger than life dreams and your family dreams doesn't coincide with yours?
Always.
Yes. So how do you manage
That's
that?
just a given.
How do you manage that?
Well, first of all, remember that you will never overachieve your own self-image. You also can't control other people's image of you. I like to say what other people think of me is none of my business, especially my family. And so in that context, I have created what's called, number one, a relativity matrix of the great chain of feeding. Sounds cool. So let me explain how I deal with this common issue that everybody faces. So one, I categorize people by how relative they are to me. So for example, and I hate when people film this, but it's all over, and I don't know if my mom watches the internet. So my mom's one of the most, if not the most relative person in my life. I will, if she told me right now, begrudgingly, but I would do it, I will go lie in front of that bus if she told me it would save her life. And she's 80. I know she never would, so it's kind of a bullshit thing, but I do that shit for my mom. So that's how relative my mom is to me. Same with my wife. But my mom bleeds me. My mom's 80 years old. And she has a lot of fear, especially after COVID. And she has ailments, and it bleeds me. And partly it bleeds me because I care so much for her, and all I want her to do is be happy. So if she's not 100% healthy and happy and wealthy and worthy, it breaks my heart, which bleeds me. But I'm never going to fire my mom. And she limits me. She limits me. If I tell her that I want to empower over 1 billion people to be happy, and I'm going to travel the world to speak and make 6 figures and then use that to make more people happy, and I can't give more with less, and all these things, she's like, oh, you're going to end up being disappointed. Sound familiar? My mom started with doctor, lawyer, or failure. That's where it started. But what I've learned in this relativity thing is once I determine how relative you are to me, then I can determine the feeding chain. So my high school friends, I never did the relativity check. My high school friends are not relative in my life. So I'm not gonna let them bleed me anymore because they give meaning to me from when I was 17. I'm not that guy. And I don't have time to change their meaning of 55-year-old David Meltzer compared to 17-year-old David Meltzer. So it doesn't bother me anymore when they're like, oh, that guy's, loudmouth, asshole, cheater, blah, whatever I was when I was 17. That's not me today. But I don't have time, so I'm gonna either let them fall away or fire them from my life. And I think it's really important for us to do a relativity check before we do the bleeding, feeding analysis with people, because a lot of times we get caught up into we're giving way too much relativity to people that just don't matter anymore. Toxic people. And so that's like a newer idea that's really, really helped me, especially with like family members who give meaning to my past that is not aligned with who I am today. And it's definitely not aligned with the meaning that I want to give my past. One of protection and promotion. And I tell a story, and judge me for who I am. One of the hardest things to get over when I grew up was when I was 7 years old, I stole money out of my mom's wallet. I was 7. That day, we went to the grocery store, and she did not have enough money for groceries. And I sat there quietly. What happened? I must have dropped it. And my mom's crying, right? And I'm sitting there. That's not the meaning that I give that experience, that I am a liar, a cheater, a robber, a thief, dishonest, a horrible, 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 horrible person and son. I was at that moment, but I was 7. This is what people do to themselves. And I did things like that to other people when I was a teenager. I mean, thank God my wife has forgiveness, right? If anyone knows my story, I threw an egg at my wife and hit her in the back of the head when I was 12 years old because she wouldn't go steady with me. That's not the meaning she gives to me anymore. She sees, and I put in the time because I wanted her to have a different meaning for me, and I'm willing to put the time in. And she even has a different meaning than 7 years into my marriage, or when who I was when she told me to take stock in who I was. This is the relativity matrix that then determines the feeding spectrum. Because we want to surround ourselves with the right people, the right idea. You want to surround yourself, determined upon relativity, with people who feed you. Really great. Everyone has that. Next question. Yes, sir. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too. Yeah, so in terms of breaking into establish my business, and I'm just kind of building up, and I'm trying to get into my target market is high net worth individuals, right? So individuals like yourself and other, high value potential clients. So how do you break into the network? I am focused on being more interested than interesting.
Yeah.
I am focused on providing value for free. But how do you build those connections? How do you get into that circle where you are?
It doesn't have to fall within the context of your skills, your knowledge, and your desire of your business. It can be in life. That's why so many nannies and fitness trainers end up doing business with high net wealth individuals, because they provided value to those individuals, which gave them options, opportunities, and touches of favor to use their high net wealth themselves and their relationships to high net wealth. Right? Your neighborhood is your frequency is your neighborhood. Raise your neighborhood, raise your frequency. Right? If I was back in Akron, Ohio, in the projects where I was born, sitting on a lawn chair drinking a Colt 45, and I thought of Uber, I could have turned to my buddy in that lawn chair and say, bro, I got the biggest idea ever. I want to go ahead and create this company called Uber. I'm going to change transportation in the whole world. And he would have said, man, that is an amazing idea. Now, where I live now, I can sit at the park that we have in the gated community overlooking the ocean in Orange County, California, not know the dude sitting at the bench there walking his dog, could have sat down with my mini dachshund and said, hey brother, I got the best idea. This company is going to revolutionize transportation. And he would have been like, oh man, that is a great idea. Can I give you 10 million? Same idea, same friend, different neighborhood, brother. Go to the neighborhood. Your frequency is your neighborhood is your frequency. If you have to volunteer, get there, and then use the open-ended question template, which is simply this: what do you do today? And if you want to be real specific, what do you do today in sports? What do you do today in solar? What do you do today for mortgages? What do you liked about that? Have you had any good experiences? Tell me about it. Have you had any bad experiences? What don't you like? Why? Because that's how we provide value. Then, according to my capabilities, because I've now put myself in the right neighborhood and directed the conversation to the value that I can provide, aligned with my skills, my knowledge, and my desire, I can say, hey, would it help you if I refinance you for a point less? You told me your mortgage is $1.4 million. It would save you about $1,400 a month. Does that sound fair? Yeah. You could do that for me? Yeah. Or can I cut your electric bill by $1,200 a month? Right? Or can I wash your car? Oh, you need a babysitter? I'd be happy to do that for you. My cousin actually lives in the neighborhood. She's amazing. She has a PhD in education, looking for an extra cash. She's great with kids. Can I introduce you? And then when you establish value, now you get to ask the golden question of elevation. Once again, living by this, right? I've now said, hey, can I provide you value? Now you simply state it like this: do you know anyone that could help me? I'm starting a business. I just need a little help. Do you know anyone that could help me? I'm looking to raise some angel financing. I'm looking for someone to look over my business plan. I'm looking for an innovation lab. I don't know what you're looking for. And all of a sudden, we're now in the flow of value, of ease, of abundance. There's more than enough of everything for everyone. I'm just sitting in the right neighborhood. I'm not in a lawn chair anymore, drinking a Colt 45. I'm walking my mini dachshund in a gated community overlooking the ocean where people just throw $10 million around like other people buy you a beer. It's just frequency. Does that sound fair?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's so few people though that fit in that neighborhood, right? So
but if there's not,
valuable.
there's not.
Yeah.
How many billionaires are there?
Not sure. Yeah.
A lot. How many millionaires are there? So I would categorize a high net wealth individual, anyone that makes $1 million or more. I would say there's over 1 million people that make over $1 million a year. Over 1 million people. That sounds like a lot of people. Then there's probably another 100 million that make over 6 figures somewhere that can help you as well. That can aggregate through crowdfunding or whatever, that everybody can contribute 10 grand to get you a $500,000 note or whatever it is. You've already limited yourself. I go to galas all the time. There's more money in that room than I've ever dreamed of. And by the way, it only takes one billionaire or one multimillionaire to help you where you're at. And once you get one, it's easier to get the other ones. So all you need is one. So even if there's only 3, you now got a 33% chance if there's 3 in the room. You have to be intentional about it. You got to do, say, think, believe, and feel it, not do it and then say, well, you know, there's very few of those places. There's an activity every night with those people there. You just got to be more interested than interesting. You can do it. Trust me, it's the first thing I did when I lost everything. I went to the richest people I knew, asked how it could be of service or value, and asked them for help. And it took me 2 weeks to get my first 2 million. You can do it. Now, it took me 9 months the first time around when I was in your position at 24, didn't know anyone, didn't know anything, right? I had to put a lot more work into it, but I still went right to the top. Little did I know, by going to the top, the president of the $3.4 billion company that we exited, you know, was in the elevator with me because I was going to the top. I didn't know it was him. And so I'm like, he's bald. And you know the elevator lights really make you bald? So I'm like, oh, grass doesn't grow in a busy street? And we became close friends. So be careful. All right, good. Yes?
How can we help you today?
How can you help me? It's very simple. First of all, everyone write down my email address so that you can reach out to me. I do ask my friends that are here. I answer my emails myself.
You do.
You do.
Yeah, sometimes it's cryptic, so come back to me if you're like, I don't understand what you just said, Dave. But it is me, I promise you. And if you're gonna say it's not me, I'm gonna email you, say, if you don't believe it's me, here's my cell phone, call me. It's a good way to get me to call you, just say it's not you. But my email is david@dmeltzer.com. I do about 80% of everything I do is free. So if your budget is free, that's for you guys. Books, guides, exercises, IGs, office hours, Friday trainings for over 23 years. October it'll be 24 years. I train everything from incentivizing your employees to how to sell, to mommy issues, to the ultimate ego training, to the open-ended question template, to expansion, not elevation. I do bring your own questions, I bring the answers. I do takeaways of the week where you can learn from other people's biggest lessons. So please, all of that, email me. I'd be happy to help all of you. Second, share my content. That really helps me. If I'm on a mission to empower over 1 billion people, I can't tell you how this has grown. Even today, it warms my heart. People are like, 2 years ago I saw an interview with you and you said, do you know anyone that could help me? And I just used it today even, it changed my life. So share my content. All of it's not gonna resonate with everyone, I promise you. And then finally, the third one, do good deeds. If you don't know what to do yourself, then go help somebody else. The first will figure itself. I promise you. And if you don't know how to help someone, just go out and make and let someone know they're not alone. Literally, let them know they're not alone. It's easy. Watch how fast your life changes when you're lost and you help someone else find what they want. You'll find who you are like this. It works. It's simple. My favorite line, anyone that listens to me, be kind to your future self. Do good deeds. Kindness, it's hard. Sometimes people piss us off and it's hard to be kind. Be kind. So those 3 things, email me, david@dmeltzer.com, share my content, and then do good deeds. And
Your staff is amazing.
yes, my staff, they're my first level of empowerment. So They know values, daily practices, and they are amazing people. This wouldn't happen without them. Can we get a group photo?
Yeah.
That would be awesome.